So I know it's been a few months since I've last uploaded to this channel, and the only excuse I can give you is the I'm too busy excuse. Well, take it or leave it. This degree isn't gonna earn itself, you know? What you're watching right now is the latest footage of what I have gathered up, or unused content that I have hidden in my storage in my computer for, I don't know, 2 or 3 months. Some of the clips that I'm gonna have used here might be from the same videos that I've used in my previous rant, only because I hadn't bothered to check what clips exactly I used in the last one, but I don't even want to bother to check for duplicate clips that I made in the last one, so there you go. But in any case, it's just Halo multiplayer game footage. Nothing special about it. I'm not good at the game, I don't care. Some of the clips might be from the Fiesta playlist, others might be from the Quick Play playlist, and there might be a few clips here and there that might be from the Ranked playlist. Like I said, I hadn't bothered checking and I don't want to. And I'm mentioning all of this now because I have yet to upload my first rant of 2022, and I plan to upload that video at the same time I upload this second rant of 2022. So why didn't I upload that last rant video? Well, again, I was too busy. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. It's easy to plan out what I'm supposed to do for the next few weeks, but sometimes it's just really hard to execute because of time constraints. But you're not really here for the gameplay, are you? So let's just get into today's video. Everybody is stressed over something at a given point in time. The average worker in New York City, they're stressing if they can get to the train on time so they can get to work on time. For me, I stress over if I have what it takes to graduate on time by the end of this year's August. For you, probably, you browse YouTube to see which content creator gives you the best entertainment. Over time, that stress slowly builds up, and at some point in time, sooner or later, we have to let that stress go. How do we go about doing that though? Going to the gym? Playing video games? Coming home to your spouse and kids and your pet? Go shopping? Go to a bar? Go to a party? They all sound like pretty valid options, don't you think? Some choices might be better than the others depending on your preference, of course. Or do you go to a counselor and vent? Do you yell at your family, your friends, or your loved ones? Do you punch a hole in your wall? Do you break something to release all of that stress? These are some things that we have to try to avoid sometimes if we have that much stress built up in our bodies. Or what if, and this might be the worst option, what if all that stress pent up in our bodies makes us want to hurt somebody? Of course, I can't really explain in detail what I mean by hurting other people. But what I mean by that is physically harming somebody. We let the clouds hinder our logical reasoning and critical thinking, and ultimately causing irreparable damage to somebody else's life, and quite possibly to your own. Sadly, I think I've seen a lot of other people in this month alone choose the last option the most often in this city. And if what I'm watching and reading on the news is true throughout the country, this country too. Just this past week, I hopped onto a bus to get to a hospital for a research project, and on that bus was a screaming man, rambling incoherently, and clearly wanting to start a fight. But of course nobody paid him any mind because, well, we're used to dealing with a bunch of crazies on a daily basis. Hell, even I'm used to listening to all the crazies throughout the city, even if I hadn't lived here for a full year now. Well, the guy finally took the hint that nobody was going to pay him any mind, and he got off at the next bus stop. As soon as the bus started to leave, that crazy got into a shouting match with another crazy, and he got what he wanted, I guess. He got into a fight. But I'm already in the bus while it's departing while the fight is starting, so there's no sense for the bus driver to stop to report the incident, and I don't think any of us passengers would really care. On that same day, in the evening of that past week, I boarded a train to get back home. And the second crazy to encounter was a crazy lady. I'm in the same train car as her, she's sitting, I'm standing, and there's a person on either side of her. For some odd strange reason, she gets the assumption out of nowhere that somebody's pulling on her hair. So she kindly asks for that imaginary person pulling her hair to cut it out. But she's looking at no one in particular, so I have to wonder who the hell is she talking to. And I'm doing this while I'm looking at her out of the corner of my eye so I don't arouse suspicion out of her. Then she immediately explodes, telling this imaginary person again to stop pulling her hair. And again, she's not looking at anyone in particular, so she starts flailing her arms around. Naturally, the other passengers surrounding her immediately move away because, well, she crazy. So okay, we give her some space, and now she's crossed her arms and legs like a sulking child. She gets into an argument with that imaginary person and starts talking about God, and how God will come snatch your soul or whatever along those lines, I don't really know. Occasionally raising her voice, talking about the devil that would come get the sinners, you know, the usual nonsensical religious ranting. She does nothing else though, so that's good, I guess. She gets off a few stops away from where I'm supposed to get off, and I get to enjoy some peace and quiet on the way home. So in both of these instances, well, I believe that those two people were homeless. I'm not going to rail against homeless people because I have no idea about their circumstances that led them to being that way. But still I find that a little odd, but then again, it's New York City. People are going to stress whatever. If only this was the worst thing you could do when you're stressed. But unfortunately, it's not. When some people are stressed in New York City, they really want to involve other people into their problems. And there is no fucking good reason why. This morning, there are at least 15 people injured in a subway station. Not too far from where I live. It's actually very close. At least 7 of those who were injured were struck with bullets. I am relieved that no casualties were reported, but the fact that this happened at all, it's frightening, it's devastating, especially to the families of the injured, and it's depressing. Sometimes it really just takes one person to fuck everything up for everybody else. For starters, how does that incident help anybody, ever? The perpetrator is now at large stressed about evading the cops, and the people who are injured have their families and loved ones worried about them. What chemical imbalance in the brain makes that person think that causing physical harm to other people around them is best for everybody involved? You have to be out of your goddamn mind to think that putting a bullet into somebody is going to help you feel better. Putting a bullet into another human being. And of course there are some arguments about the ideology of war, but this incident occurred at an individual level. Haven't we seen enough of those already? In the Bronx, shootings occur on a daily basis. Why? If we read into those incidents occur over some stupid argument. The most trivial of things being argued about, and people are losing their lives over it. How does that even make any sense? You're telling me a human being is ending the life of another human being because they bumped into each other at a supermarket? You're telling me a teenager lost their life because some other teenager was wanting to show off how tough they were. All these senseless incidents, it really is just depressing to think about. Stress can get a lot of people, myself included, to do a bunch of questionable things, to do something that we know we can't take back later. But never to this degree. For any normal human being, never to this degree. So, assuming the incidents occur because of stress, what is the cause of that stress? The need to overcompensate? For what exactly? Street credit? Being called a name? Your crush being taken by somebody you don't like? What about having a small pecker? If you have to fucking shoot somebody over an argument, you have small pecker energy. There is no way that is not a fact. You can't fight back words with words, so you put a bullet with it. A permanent solution to a temporary problem. I still catch myself thinking about what that perpetrator was thinking when he was committing that heinous crime. What did he stand to gain from that? Everybody else in that train station has their own problems to go through. And I guess if his goal was to add one more to everybody in that train station involved, well, I guess he did it. If his goal was to be a complete shitty human being, I guess he did it. Those injured in that incident, they have some hospital bills to worry about now. Because some crazed man decided that it was okay to hurt people. The stress in his life led him to believe that hurting people is the best way to get rid of it. So all of this begs the question, what should have been done such that this wouldn't have happened, or won't occur again in the future? There might be a myriad of things that should have been done that I don't even know about, but by discussing that, I'd be heading into political territory, and I'm not interested in doing that. It's all too easy for me to think of an alternate reality where none of this ever happened in this country, or in the world for that matter. But of course, it's not all rainbow and sunshine. We know that. It doesn't mean that this should have happened, ever. It's incidents like these that makes me think the world is on the verge of collapse. That might sound like an exaggeration, but there's a world going on the other side of the globe. Every time I read or watch anything on the news, people are more interested in fighting over solving problems. Is this what stress has led us to today's problems? Would this kind of stress end in the world being destroyed by a hail of intercontinental ballistic missiles? I'm simply reaching at this point. So I guess the take-home message is that there is going to be stress in our lives, whether we want it or not, whether we like it or not. But it's more of how you release that stress. Will you be able to know how to release that stress, or will you let that stress control you and cause physical harm? I am in no way, shape, or form perfect, because I am guilty of this too. Stress keeps me away from doing the things I like to do, like uploading. And then eventually, the I'm too busy excuse is just not going to fly. It gives me something to think about, that's for sure. So, that's today's rant. Can't say I feel any better about it though. I just hope that the people can recover from that incident. My heart goes out to all those who are injured, and to the family, friends, and loved ones of those who are injured.